Like you, I also thought that Amazon FBA wholesale was going to be the end goal. I thought that I was going to scale my arbitrage business up to a certain number, and then I was eventually going to pivot over to wholesale. Now, a lot of people think that once you get to like 10K a month on online arbitrage, it's time for wholesale right away. And to give you some context, my very first 12 months, I was able to scale my arbitrage business to over $1 million worth of sales. By my 9th month, I was doing over $100,000 in revenue. And if you don't believe me, I posted a video a couple months ago that go over my very first year. You can see the numbers on Sellerboard for yourself. But besides the point, I also thought that from there, it was time to get into wholesale. I literally got myself a warehouse anticipating that I was going to order all these pallets all the time, that I was going to have to store them everywhere, that I would utilize this address to open new accounts that I wouldn't be able to get with my local address. But there's things that happened along the way that honestly didn't fully align with my end result, my end goal that I wanted out of my arbitrage business. There's little things that I didn't even realize were going to be an issue coming up. And this isn't to say that Amazon wholesale doesn't work, because obviously it works. There's plenty of people that make an absolute killing just buying from wholesale suppliers and selling them on Amazon. The reason I'm making this video is just to show you and explain to you things that you might not be even expecting are going to happen if you're looking to make that pivot. And you can most definitely get through these things and come out on top with wholesale, but it just might not be the thing that you're looking for. Now, after those 12 months, I actually ended up buying some kind of wholesale mentorship that I was anticipating was just going to teach me everything I needed to know. And unfortunately, I guess I made a bad choice, bad character of judgment, and I bought someone's mentorship, and honestly, it was the most garbage information I ever had. It was things that I already knew just from looking at free YouTube videos online, but whatever. I spent money, I invested into something, so I was going to make this thing work one way or another. And I went at it full force that very next year. Now, I had a good success with it. I mean, I opened up plenty of accounts. I was able to produce profits from these wholesale suppliers I was buying from, but my business completely turned from what it was and what I was looking for into something that I didn't even want out of it. Now, the very first thing that I noticed happened was actually collapsing of cash flow. Now that I was buying from wholesale suppliers, I had to be buying more stock. So with OA, I had a daily spend, right? I talk about this often. I had a daily spend. So let's say at the time, this daily spend is $1,500 of spend every single day, right? This was going to equate to about 3K a day in sales, and this would probably see itself through within a 30-day period. So if you were to continue this every single day and you would do this, you'd get to a point where you're spending $1,500 a day, you're making $3,000 worth of revenue every single day, that money's coming back, you're doing it again, and your account starts to grow because you're just churning your money at such fast pace. Well, wholesale completely destroyed this because I was no longer able to do daily spend or weekly spend. It was more so every other month I'd have to buy large quantities from these suppliers and get this inventory in. So my inventory was much less predictable. And again, I was new to it, so this could be the reason why. I just realized that I was getting stuck with inventory for much longer than I would have liked. Ideally, with an arbitrage business, you are churning your money at least 6 times a year. So this means you're spending $30K in a 30-day period. You're getting back $60K of revenue. You have your profits on top, and you're getting that money back into your account to repeat this process. And this is allowing you to compound your money really quick. And online arbitrage is a really good way of doing that. Wholesale is a little bit harder because, again, you're buying more units. You're buying less. I mean, you're still using data, obviously, to make your purchases, but you can't really test items as well. And you still kind of can, but not nearly as well. Obviously, lead times are a little bit longer too. So with arbitrage, I had buying daily, sending daily. It was very consistent. It was a nice little system flowing in. With wholesale, it turned into big shipments coming in, multiple days to prep these shipments, get those shipments out the door. Sometimes I was doing LTL at this point, and these shipping companies sometimes would take forever. I mean, I had pallets get stuck for 2 months at a time before, which obviously is just unlucky and it's not a common thing, but these things can happen and it really disrupts cash flow. Whereas with OA, I was sending in things daily. So even though some boxes took, a month to check in, it didn't matter because the stuff I sent in yesterday, the stuff I sent in 3 days was getting checked in and money was churning. I was getting that stuff right back, paying off my credit cards, going again, paying off the credit cards, going again. And that business bank account was growing as well as the sales. As the sales were going up, obviously my stock of inventory levels and seller board was also going up. So obviously I was making money in this point. So cash flow, it hurts cash flow at least in the beginning. And this is something I really didn't even think about, which obviously I probably should have. So I think with OA, I was able to churn my money much quicker. That was one big thing that I realized kind of happened. Now, another thing was when I jumped into wholesale, I just magically thought to myself that, okay, now that I'm doing wholesale, everything is nice and safe. Like I'm playing by the books. This is what Amazon wants at the end of the day. And in all reality, if anything, I think that wholesale is actually more risky if you have no idea what you're doing. Because jumping into it, you go to google.com, you search Amazon FBA wholesale suppliers, right? You see all these random websites, Wholesale Central, all these sketchy suppliers that you don't think are sketchy but actually are sketchy. They're just brokers. You have your Empire distributors, you have all your min-max deals, these random companies that everyone sees because they're ranking for Google for these search terms, and you're buying from them not realizing that you're buying products that are not authorized to be sold. So the moment you get an issue with inventory loss and you try and upload these invoices for reimbursement, Amazon sees that and they're flagging your account. Okay, in this mentorship group, I had numerous people in there that also were buying from these suppliers because they weren't even taught properly to avoid these suppliers. They're buying from these suppliers and they are getting Section 3s like that, losing their accounts. So you think it's safer, but it's really not unless you know what you're doing. All right, obviously there's suppliers you can be buying from. And I just want to give you a story of kind of what happened to me with one supplier I was buying from. It was a supplier in New York. They were a larger supplier, I thought, and they just sold general merchandise products. So the one day they actually ended up sending me inventory. I sent it into Amazon, and Amazon was missing inventory. So at the time I was using a website or a company called Getita to help me with reimbursements. So they asked for the invoices for these products that were lost, and I submitted the invoices, and for some reason Amazon just was not accepting them. Okay, like they just weren't accepting the invoices. They weren't deeming them as a valid invoice. And this is weird because historically, I've always been able to use like Walmart easily, Target very easily, all these websites, Sam's Club, literally any website, order confirmations. I was able to use these websites, order comps or invoices, and easily get reimbursements. Okay, now the reimbursements, fighting IPs, right? Like these things, Amazon doesn't look at like a direct invoice. Like they just want to make sure that the items are authentic, they can easily verify them, and they'll give you the money back. Obviously, Amazon can verify that Walmart, as long as you're buying directly from Walmart, is an authorized retailer. They only sell authentic products, so I'm playing everything by the books. What they couldn't verify was these suppliers. So I'm sitting here wondering, I'm like, well, they won't give my money back now. So what if they lost this whole pallet and I'm out all this money because they couldn't verify the supplier? Right? Like that's just one little issue that I didn't even realize might be a thing. And me sitting here thinking I'm playing it safe, buying from this supplier, when in reality, I wasn't at all. I mean, if I got an IP and I had to fight this invoice wasn't going to work. So that quickly turned me off right off the bat because, again, I never had issues with Walmart, Target, Sam's Club, right? And people think that you need a wholesale invoice to get ungated. And a lot of times Amazon does look for very specific things for ungating purposes. But when it comes to reimbursements, when it comes to IPs, Section 3s, and beating these, they just want to prove, you just need to prove to them that it's authentic. And it's very easy to prove to Amazon that your inventory from Walmart or Target or Sam's Club or Home Depot or whatever, the brand's website, is authentic. Right? You're not doing anything wrong by selling authentic product. And I've told stories on this in the past in videos. Like I've had students that have had Section 3s because they start from zero and they scale their stores up so fast that Amazon is like, hey, what's going on? Let me see where you're buying this from. And they upload order confirmations from Walmart and they beat them with no issues, right? Piece of cake, they beat it because Walmart is selling authentic product. You can verify it. It's not stolen inventory. But this random supplier that you just open an account with, right? They tell you to go open 300 accounts a week and then start, ordering from them, right? Like these, I guarantee you a big portion of those suppliers that you might be buying from, invoices won't work and you're going to catch yourself in trouble. So you have this illusion that you have control like I did, and in reality you really don't. Now the other aspect of this, part two, is, right, you think that because you're doing wholesale, it's, again, like you still have majority control, but in reality we're playing the same game, right? OA and wholesale is the same exact game. It's just wholesale, it comes with its added risk because you're buying so much more quantities. Like we're still not authorized to be selling on some brands. Like some brands will still send you cease and desist letters, except now with OA, you're stuck with 10 units and here you're stuck with, 200 units. And again, like now you're just having more issues. You're complicating the whole process. You're making it a little bit harder on yourself. So unless you're going brand direct, like you're working directly with a brand, which mind you is a whole different game. At this point, you're not even really a reseller. You're more so like an agency. You need to know how to do all these additional things for these brands, how to create listings. And again, there's money to be made in these business models, but it's a completely different business model. And it comes with a completely new set of things that you need to worry about, buying these things in bulk, whatever. This video is not on that. But again, OA and wholesale is the same level playing ground. Like the listings, we can get kicked off listings the same way with wholesale like we can with OA. So again, like you think you're in the right by doing wholesale, but we quickly found out about a year ago that you're not. Seeing all these people that do only wholesale lose accounts or get regated on products, like you are still not in control. Except now you're not in control with a whole lot of more units with a whole lot of more risk. And this is something I didn't even think about because at the time, this was the way that you had to do it. And that quickly shifted when I found out that, okay, it's still not safe with thinking I'm doing wholesale. Another component to this is, your location. Like, this is another important thing that's important. So, with my location, if I wanted to order and I placed an order, I'm in the East and I placed an order from California, right? It was a smaller order, just like test out the supplier. I ended up paying like $800 to get this thing shipped to me. Literally made zero money on this order. So like if you're in locations that have easy access to products, if you're in like the ports, then you're in a much better situation. If you're in like Miami, if you're in like New York, again, California, like you're in a good situation where you're able to really compete with some of these. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's tough to compete sometimes, right? Like, again, like I opened an account with an outdoor supplier by me, and like I'm looking at their pricing. Then I look at this company down in Miami, and I'm like comparing the price, and I'm like, it is night and day. It's just if I need to buy from these suppliers in Miami, I'm paying so much in freight. So like it goes back to like I have to place a much larger order to really make it worth it for these products. And I'm like, why am I competing on these listings buying from my supplier when I know these guys are getting it for significantly cheaper? I'm like, it's just dumb. Like you're setting yourself up for failure in these situations. So geographical limitations is another big thing that no one really talks about. But it's something that I quickly realized, like in my location, I didn't really have much I was able to really fend for. And I know a lot of people aren't located in these areas, but yeah, that could be a benefit or a disadvantage, I guess, just depends on your situation. The bulk discount trap. Okay, like look, another massive thing that was huge to me was now that I'm selling on these listings, right? People think that OA, right, too many sellers, okay? But it's virtually the same exact thing, okay? It doesn't matter how many sellers are on a listing. What only matters is how much stock is on the listing, okay? So you find yourself with OA if there's too many sellers. But with wholesale, you find yourself that there's still too much stock. So even though there's only 5 sellers here, these 5 sellers have 100 plus units, so there's still a ton of inventory, whereas these 20 sellers with OA each have 10 units. So it's like the same exact thing, except again you're adding more risk because now these 5 sellers here are large sellers, so like they're buying inventory for cheaper than you, they are able to price lower than you, they're on these listings for longer than you, which means that they have more buy box than you, which means it's harder to compete. That was a big thing that I quickly found out with these wholesale listings I was on. It was a lot harder to compete on the listings because I found myself selling against sellers that had hundreds of thousands of reviews, which I wasn't doing on OA listings, right? OA listings, we're all little small fish and we're all taking a piece of the pie. Who has the best systems in place to be buying these products at the best time? That's what OA is. Where wholesale is like who has the most money, who's been on the listings for longest, who has the most experience. It's a different game. And I didn't, again, realize that getting into it. So like the listings that I was able to be buying from some suppliers were listings that sold really slow because these are only listings I could compete on. The fast moving listings, forget about it. Like maybe I make 5% on it, which is just not worth the money. It's not worth the headache. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth the potential of Amazon losing inventory and breaking even, or getting a return and breaking even. This bulk discount trap is real because the sellers you're competing against are big sellers. They're not just a one person team like me and you might be. They are big companies that have multiple locations in different areas of the country, that have teams of 100 people, that have these huge warehouses, that are spending millions of dollars a month, that are getting better pricing, that are buying from the same suppliers that you might be buying from, but are getting much better pricing, okay? Everyone knows suppliers like Kihi, United, Cisco. These suppliers work if you have a lot of money, if you're spending a lot of money, okay? So money is obviously a huge component to all this too, and how much you're spending. And again, this is kind of going to lead to my last point and why for me it didn't make sense, because it just didn't align with my goals. Like my goals with a business of this caliber was I want to cash flow easily over time, right? Obviously I knew it wasn't going to be easy at first. I had to build the system in place, but I want the cash flow, which is actually what I was able to do my first 12 months. I already did this. Like it was working, and I tried to fix it. I tried to, I guess not fix it, but add to it. And I ended up just kind of ruining a lot of things, and I had to pivot back to OA after and realize that this is what I want out of my business. Okay, I want a simple business where it's me, a virtual assistant, a couple softwares, maybe 2 virtual assistants, depending on what season we're in. And this is a good way to cruise and cash flow predictably without with still playing in Amazon's rules, right? Like I've never to this day had any issues with losing my account, getting a Section 3. I've been able to beat IPs with generic order confirmations from retailers because I'm obviously selling authentic product. I don't try and take shortcuts by buying from Telegram suppliers. I don't buy from anything overseas. I'm not buying from these websites like Yes Style and Stylevana that are selling Korean products that are not authorized to be sold in the States on these listings, right? I don't sell on listings with brands. I'm playing by the books because I wanted a long-term business that I can follow, I can cash flow, I can spend X amount of money every month and produce X amount of profit, and I can scale these numbers as I added more products to my catalog over time with my tracker. That was what my goals were, and I didn't really realize that, I guess, until after I tried doing wholesale, and that's why I pivoted back to OA inevitably. Okay, I inevitably pivoted back to OA because this is what I wanted. I wanted to produce 12 to 18K a month, predictably, easily, without headache, without worrying about if am I going to get shut down, is this pallet going to get delivered, how much, like that's just what I wanted. And again, not everyone's goals are those. If your goals are to sell $500,000 a month, then eventually you are going to have to get into wholesale. Okay, there's people that do probably $500,000 OA, but it's probably going to be a lot easier for you to just get into wholesale or some other form of e-commerce if you're trying to do that. But if you are looking to make anywhere from $2,000 a month upwards to $20K a month just in cash flow, there is virtually zero easier way than to just buy inventory online with easy methods of sourcing like reverse, like Keep a product finder. Deals run all the time, right? And you just, instead of just hustling and always trying to find products, so while you're learning this and you're doing it, you systemize the whole process and you actually track leads and you get VA and you hire people and you actually treat it like a business. You can do this within I don't want to say couple, but you can do this within 3 to 6 months if you're implementing it correctly. And you get to a stage where, okay, you've now done, let's just say 20K in revenue a month, but your system is working for you, so you can easily dump a lot more money into it, right? If you're doing 20K, you're spending about 10K, so you can easily up this 10K to 40K, and within a 30, 60-day period, you've now just upped this revenue up to 80K, and you're making way more profit, obviously, because you're doing more volume. But the system remains the same. It works for you, and this is what I found OA to be if treated correctly. And this, again, is not to shit on wholesale because, again, obviously it works. I know people personally that make a killing with it. It's just to show you that there is issues with it that you might not realize, and it might not be the thing that you're looking for at the end of the day. It might be, and if it is, that's great. I still think that the easiest way to learn Amazon is through wholesale because it's way less risky, and if you want to get approvals and brands, you want to sell small brands, always just really easy way to do it. But eventually you can pivot into wholesale, and that option's always there as well. It's just keep these in mind, buy from legit spots, make sure you're pre-vetting suppliers, make sure that you know how to really, really, really analyze listings. I can't even tell you how many consultations calls I take with people that want to get into this that will say they're stuck with pallets from these suppliers of deodorant because they bought from some liquidator and they just can't move it. Not to mention it's risky even if they can get approved for it because they're buying from liquidators, which you shouldn't be. But there's just so many other issues. Amazon needs to be treated like a business. And you can do so with OA if you treat it right and you do it correctly. Anyways, if this sustainable arbitrage model sounds like something for you, I'm going to link the video at the end that'll show you exactly the systems we implement to be able to do this on a daily basis. And if you've seen my videos and you're ready to take the next steps into something you want to pursue and you would like my personal one-on-one help in doing so, yes, I actually work with my students on a one-to-one level. I'm not going to hand you off to some random coach. You're going to come directly to me and we're going to build this thing together. Then there's a link down below, booking a call through Calendly, and I'll run you through exactly what that looks like. Hopefully you have some realistic expectations and you're ready to work. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see everyone next week. Take care.